Alright, in this video, I'm going to show you how to install an aftermarket radio in a B7 Audi A4, so stay tuned. This car is a 2006 and this is what the factory radio looks like. I'm going to be installing this double DIN Pioneer radio. I basically got all of these installation parts from enfigcarstereo.com. The only thing that I did not get from them was the radio. These are the parts that comes in the dash kit. And I'm going to be using these keys to remove the factory radio. This is the radio wiring harness with the CAN bus reader for the ignition and the radio illumination and the steering wheel control. This is a plug-and-play adapter for the aftermarket radios. This adapter will allow me to connect to the radio and the wire harness without having to cut any wires. This is a steering wheel control programmer. I'm going to be connecting this to the back of the radio and the wire harness. The first thing that I'm going to do is to remove the factory radio. I'm going to insert these keys, make sure they click into place, and then I'll pull the radio out. These keys are supposed to be inserted with a notch facing inwards. Once the keys are inserted correctly, it should be fairly easy to pull the radio out. And I always like to pull one from the top and one from the bottom. Once the radio is out, I disconnect all the connections from the back of the radio. So the next thing to do is to run the mic wire. I'm going to be installing the microphone right by the sun visor. So in order for me to do that, I need to remove the A-pillar cover. I use this pick tool to pull away the caps to reveal the two T25 torque screws. I pry away the airbag cap to reveal another T25 screw. And right by the sun visor, there's one last T25 screw that I need to remove, and this one is exposed. There's nothing covering it. Once the screw is removed, I gently pull down the sun visor. I pull on the wire to pull down the socket that's above the headliner, and then that'll give me access to disconnect the socket. Once the socket is disconnected, I'm going to start prying away the A-pillar cover. I'm going to start from the top and work my way down to the bottom. Once all of the clips are loose, the cover should be able to easily slide up. Once the panel is completely removed, this is what it should look like. And the idea is to run the mic wire right next to the existing wires. I'm going to be running the wire behind the fuse box, so I need to remove the fuse cover to gain access. This is what the mic looks like, and as I said, I'm going to be putting it by the sun visor area. I use a piece of Velcro to secure the mic wire around the existing set of wires, so that when I'm pulling on the mic wire, it won't pull out of place. I need to remove the lower dash in order for me to run the wire behind the fuse box and below the steering column. So I'm going to start by removing these two 8mm bolts at the bottom. There's one more 8mm bolt at the side. Once this bolt is removed, the dash will be able to come down. I use Velcro to secure the mic wire among some existing wires. I want this mic wire to stay in place and not move around. So this is where I ran the wire. So behind the fuse box, below the steering column, and behind the back of the radio area. And now I'm going to reinstall all the parts that I took off from this side of the car. So the first thing that I'm going to reinstall is the A-pillar cover. I'm going to start by putting in the lowest part first, and then I'll work my way up to the top. So the idea is to align all the clips and firmly press it in. And now I'm going to reinstall the overhead handle. I installed a socket for the sun visor, and then I tucked the wire above the headliner. So I carefully insert it into the slot, and then I put in the screw. I reinstalled the screw and the airbag cover, and then I moved on to the lower dash. So I reinstalled the two 8mm bolts at the bottom and the single 8mm at the side, and then I put back the fuse panel cover. So this is what the USB extension cord looks like, and I'm going to be installing it in the glove box. There's some 8mm bolts right above here. I'm going to be removing all of them. So there are two 8mm bolts deep at the back of the glove box, so I had to use an extension to get to them. And there are two 8mm bolts at the bottom of the glove box, so I removed those, and then I pry away the dash cover at the side. Once I remove the cover and all the bolts are out, the glove box should easily come down. There's already this pre-cut out hole at the back of the glove box, so I'm going to run the USB cord through that. I use a razor blade to cut out the notches. And then I ran the USB cable through the hole and towards the back of the radio area. I use electrical tape to tape the wire on the back of the glove box, and that will prevent the USB cable from falling behind the back of the glove box. And now it's time to reinstall the glove box. So I reinstalled all the 8mm bolts, and I put back the panel at the side of the dash, and then I'll be able to move towards the radio. So I removed the two 8mm bolts so that I could install this back plate that comes in the dash kit. Once the back plate is installed, then I'm going to install the longer 8mm bolts. These longer bolts are made to accommodate the new thickness of this back plate. And then I'm going to install this frame that also comes in the dash kit. This frame helps to support the radio once it's installed. This is the adapter that connects the radio to the new harness. And this one is the main wire harness. So I'm just going to connect them both together. The first thing I connect is the two sockets. So brown to brown and black to black. And then I'll move on to the individual wires. And these wires are basically color coded. So blue and white to blue and white, and purple and white to purple and white. And then I put green and white to green and white. And this is the steering wheel control programmer. So I'm going to install this to the main wire harness. And then I install the 3 factory sockets to the new wire harness. And then I'll install the plug and play adapter to the back of the radio. And this jack is from the steering wheel programmer, and it goes into the line-in port. And then I install the mic jack into the mic port. And this is the antenna adapter. It has 4 connectors. 2 goes to the factory wires, and 1 goes to the back of the radio, and 1 to the new wire harness. This blue wire from the antenna adapter, it should go in one of the socket holes from the main wire harness. It should be in the hole where the blue and white wires are going to go into. Once everything is all connected, I'm just going to do a quick test just to make sure everything works before I install the radio. I check to make sure that the USB, the radio stations, the mic, and the steering wheel control are all working before I moved on. Once all the wires are all tucked towards the back, then it should be easy to put the radio in. And now I'm going to install this cover plate. So I'm just going to carefully press it in. And this is what it looks like after everything is all installed. So just as a quick recap, I installed the microphone in the sun visor area and the USB extension cord in the glove box. Alright, that's it for this one. If you like this video, consider subscribing, and thanks for watching.